Hey everybody, what is up? Rebecca here. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen today, which means we're gonna be looking at a recipe. I am so excited to share this recipe with you guys. It is only 3 ingredients. It is so easy to make and it's always a crowd pleaser. So stay tuned. We are gonna be making easy 3 ingredient chicken Alfredo today. Alright you guys, welcome back to Honestly Rebecca. Today we are going to be making a super easy 3 ingredient chicken Alfredo meal, and I am loving this meal for myself, for my family, bringing it to potluck dinners because it is so quick and easy to make. I personally really enjoy cooking, but I don't really like to cook stuff that takes a lot of time or is too involved, mainly just because I have other priorities going on in my life. So I like to make cooking one of those things that really works in service to the rest of my life. I want it to be something that's good, delicious, and healthy, that's gonna feed my family, but I don't want it to take up too much of my time because I've got other things that I'm focused on, like my business, like taking care of my home, and things like that. So this is a wonderful recipe that I like to make that really makes the best use of my time while also making a great, delicious meal that so far everybody seems to enjoy. So we have just got 3 ingredients today. How fantastic is that? Super easy to remember. And the first ingredient for our chicken Alfredo is chicken. And then the second ingredient is some Alfredo sauce. I personally like to get the Newman's Own because it's delicious and 100% of their profits go to charity. So tastes great and it's a great company that's doing some really great things out there. And then the last thing that you need is some pasta. Personally for me, I'm a big fan of spaghetti noodles. I like to get the whole grain, but whatever kind of pasta your family enjoys the most, go for that. You can do a true fettuccine Alfredo if you want and get fettuccine noodles. You can go a little bit on the healthier side and get some veggie noodles, or even make it with some spaghetti squash. For me, I'm going today with the whole grain spaghetti noodles. So I've got my stuff all set out here. So as you can see, I have got my crock pot out. I'm going to be cooking this in the slow cooker today, but you can also do it stovetop if you don't have quite as much time. Personally, I'm a big fan of doing the slow cooker. It's still the morning, so I've got plenty of time for this to sit and cook all day. And I feel like it really helps the flavors kind of meld together. But again, you can do this stovetop if you're a little bit more pushed for time. So to start out with, I'm going to grab my chicken. I like to use chicken tenderloins just because they break up really easily. And I'm a white meat chicken girl, but you know, use whatever kind of chicken you want. And I'm just making this for me and Victor today, but I do want us to be able to have some leftovers. So I have got myself a couple of pounds of chicken here. Again, I'm just doing chicken tenderloins. These are already thawed, and I'm just gonna put them directly into the crock pot as they are. Get that trash out of the way. Alright, so I've got my hands washed from dealing with that raw meat, and now what I'm going to do is, you can see here I've got 2 cans of the Newman's Own Alfredo sauce. I'm going to just go ahead and do one of those cans. So if you do get a larger container, I would say just do about half, or you can get 2 of the smaller containers and just go ahead and put in one of them. But the reason I'm only doing one is because a lot of times when the chicken is cooking in this, it can get a little bit watery, and I don't want all of it to get watery. I just want to start with one, and then when I add my pasta, I'll be able to see a little bit better how much more I need. I may not even need the entire other container. And then, so at this point, we've just got the chicken in there. We've got one of the sauces. I'm going to put the lid on my crock pot and turn it on high for about 4 hours. So with my meat raw and already thawed out, that should be enough time to really cook the chicken pretty thoroughly. And then at that point, what we're going to do is come back, boil our pasta, get the pasta going, and then get that mixed in there with it. And we will also be breaking up the chicken to make sure that it can really soak in all the flavors of that delicious sauce. So we're just gonna leave it be, go about your business for the next 4 hours. I'm gonna be working on some business stuff, maybe go for a walk. Again, that's the joy of this meal. It's so quick and easy that it allows me to still live my life while I am being a good cook and making a good meal for my family. So we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna let the crock pot simmer and cook that chicken, and then we will be back in a little while. All right, you guys, so we are back. It has been a few hours, and I just checked on the chicken, and it's looking really, really good. So I now have a pot sitting here getting ready to boil. It's heating up now that I'm gonna be putting my pasta in shortly. And I'm just gonna take a minute to go ahead and open up the crock pot and start breaking up some of this chicken so that it can start soaking in all of the flavors from that Alfredo sauce. So I'm not gonna try to break it up too much, but at least breaking these tenders into halves or thirds is gonna be a good way to make sure that it can soak up all of those good juices and really get tender. So by soaking up the juices from that sauce, the chicken's just gonna start to fall apart on you, which is gonna be so great. That's what makes it so delicious, is just giving all of those juices a chance to really get into that chicken. All right, so now that I've gotten that kind of broken up a little bit, I'm just gonna let it sit. I'm gonna turn down the temperature on the crock pot from high to low, so it'll still be cooking, but I'm gonna do that for at least a couple of hours. That'll make sure that the chicken gets cooked good and thoroughly, and that's what's gonna help all of these flavors come together once I put the pasta in it as well. And then from that point, we'll just be leaving it on warm. So at this point, I'm gonna let my water come to a boil here for the pasta. Then I'll be putting my pasta in there, and then I will be right back with you guys to talk about what we're gonna do from that point. All right, you guys, so we are boiling here. I am going to go ahead and put in my pasta. I'm gonna do about half of this box here. That just tends to be a good ratio for us with this amount of chicken that I've done. But you know, if you're more of a pasta person and you wanna have a little bit more, go ahead and put as much in there as you want to. That's a nice thing about some of this is, you know, there's no real exact quantities. You can make it, you know, more heavy on the meat or more heavy on the pasta, really just whatever you choose. So I'm just gonna drop that on in there. And something that's very important to remember as you're doing the pasta, you do not necessarily want to cook it for as long as you normally would cook your pasta, because we're going to be putting this in the crock pot with the rest of the ingredients, and it will actually soften up some more while it is in the crock pot. So this calls for it to be cooked for anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. I would normally cook mine for about 8. So what I'm gonna do this time is I'm gonna set myself a timer for 5.5 minutes, and then I'm gonna pour it off, and then we're gonna be putting it in the crock pot, and that'll be just about it. So we're gonna let this boil, and then we will be right back for the last couple of steps. Okay guys, so we're on the final home stretch of this meal. I have pulled my pasta off of the oven, and we are just gonna take the final couple of steps here. So I have drained off my pasta in the sink, and now I'm gonna go ahead and add it directly to the crock pot with the chicken and the Alfredo sauce that's already in there. And now I'm just gonna use my big serving spoon and mix that all in there together. Make sure that everything can really meld, get the pasta covered with some of that Alfredo sauce. And that is looking so good already. And as I do this, I'm also kind of breaking up the chicken a little bit more from where I had already broken it up, you know, not too long ago. But again, that's just gonna continue to open that chicken up so that it can soak in the juices some more. And every single bit that it can soak in the juices, it's just gonna be that much more delicious, that much more tender, and it's gonna make this meal so good. After that, what I'm gonna do is get in some of my freebies. So I'm just gonna do a twinge of salt, pepper, and some garlic. We have minced garlic here at the house right now, but normally I would probably do a garlic powder. But I'm a garlic person, so I'm just gonna put in a little bit of minced garlic, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper just to zhuzh it up a little bit. gonna do too much of any of those, but it does just add a little bit of flavor, and that's really, you know, one of the ways that you can make this meal your own. So last but not least, I'm going to crack open my second jar of the Alfredo sauce. It's looking pretty good and creamy in here, but it definitely needs a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour probably about 2/3 of that container in there. And then I'm gonna leave the rest of this out for now just because it doesn't quite look like it needs all of it. But I am gonna keep it just because when we go to have leftovers or even when we go to serve, it's possible that it could need a little bit more at that point. So I'm definitely gonna keep that on hand. But for now, I'm just gonna mix that little bit more of the Alfredo sauce in there. Again, all of it is just about letting these flavors kind of meld together. So there we go. I'm gonna set my spoon to the side, and I'm just gonna leave this now on low for about a couple more hours. That's really gonna let everything meld together. And then at that point, my crock pot will automatically kick down to the warm setting where I'm gonna keep it until it's ready to serve. And that is it, you guys. As you can see, that really is not a hard meal to make at all. Just the 3 ingredients, a few minutes of your time, and again, everything that we just did here, if you don't want to do it in a crock pot, you can do it on the stove top. Instead of doing the chicken in the crock pot, you could throw them in the oven and just bake your chicken or do something like that to get that chicken cooked nice and quick. And again, it's just a great meal. It's quick and easy, but it's absolutely delicious. And it's one that I have found to be a crowd pleaser, both in my family and at different events that I've brought it to before. So the nice thing about it is you can serve it up however you want to. I'm planning to just toss us up a little side salad for tonight and have that be our side with it. Goes great with some garlic bread. You could, even if you wanted to, you could do some steamed broccoli or something like that and toss it directly in here. And then you've got yourself a one-pot meal. You've got a vegetable in there. So there's so many different things that you can do with this meal, but the base of it is so easy. It's just those 3 ingredients, and it really doesn't take up that much of your time. And again, the reason I love that so much is because I have just other priorities going on in my life. As much as I enjoy cooking, I have other things that are more important to me. So creating quick and easy meals like this is a great way for me to get to enjoy the process of cooking while also keeping the other more important things in my life the more important things. And I can stay focused on my work, I can stay focused on my family, while also creating a good meal that's gonna be awesome. Me and my husband will enjoy it later. And so yeah, it's just a really great meal to help you prioritize your life and still get a delicious meal out of it. So I hope that you all enjoyed this recipe today. As always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell for notifications so you never have to miss a new video. And we will be right back here next week. We are going to be looking at some scriptures on hope right back here next Tuesday. So you definitely don't want to miss that. And I just hope that you guys have a wonderful week. Until then, see you guys.